Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, of course, is a candidate for president, but more notably for this conversation, she is on Senate Judiciary. And Senator, I have to read you a quote I was just given by one of your Republican colleagues, Senator John No Relation Kennedy of Louisiana, who says, "I don't know if Mr. Parnas and Mr. Bolton are telling the truth." Is that about along the lines of the response you were expecting today?
Well, we've heard various responses, and I think if they want to figure out if they're telling the truth, there's one way to do it, and that's to haul them in. And in John Bolton's case, in actually both their cases, I think they'd come in and testify. And certainly, I've been saying for all last week that we should have the people that were in the room where it happens. I never knew, of course, that that was going to be the title of John Bolton's book. And I have said it numerous times, and there it is. And I know that Senator Romney has made it very clear from the beginning he thinks that Bolton should testify. I know that Susan Collins is now saying this makes a stronger case for witnesses. I do not know how I'm going to be literally in 45 minutes sitting 3 yards away from them, how they can deny Americans a fair trial here. They can vote how they want when the evidence comes out. That is up to them. All we're asking about is the witnesses. And as you know from listening to the president's lawyers' opening statements, they made this clear case that none of this happened. That was their argument. And look what we know now, right in writing from the gatekeeper of the national security information for the president of the United States, that in fact he tied the holding back of the aid to getting that investigation announced. That's just unbelievable to me.
Senator, the New York Times account of Bolton's book also seems to implicate Mick Mulvaney as being in the room when the president was on the phone with Rudy Giuliani. As we just read, implicates Attorney General Barr with at least possessing knowledge at a point earlier than what he stated publicly. And it implicates Mike Pompeo as knowing full well that Marie Yovanovitch had done nothing wrong and nothing deserving of the smear campaign that was waged against her. Do you have new questions about sort of the scope of the cover-up, which is behind the second article of impeachment?
Of course I do. And that, of course, is the obstruction of Congress and not giving us the information and not being honest about what happened here. They should all be coming in to testify. But our immediate focus right now is on Bolton. And I literally do not understand how our colleagues are going to justify this. Last time I checked, our founding documents for this country did not say we, the ruling party. They said we, the people. And as I've noted many times, if they just ran for this job to try to buy their chair at the end and put it in their office or have a title for life, that's fine. But I thought a number of them, and I think deep down they know exactly what went on here. They ran to represent the people, to get to the truth. That's what we need to hear today. And I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in this room in less than an hour, because to me, that was a game changer, completely contrary to what they've been saying all weekend. One of my colleagues I followed on a Sunday show actually said, well, the evidence that the House managers put forward was just circumstantial. Well, here's your direct evidence. So why are you afraid to hear it?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.